Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, readers of all persuasions. It is I, Gayla, and welcome back to Book Unquote and Caffeinated. And yes, today is November 2nd, a bright, crisp November morning. So I will be talking about all the books that I read in October. Now, I made two videos about all the books that I bought in October, had a part one and a part two, and I clearly did not read all of those books. But I did manage to read 7 books this month, which were all bangers. 3 were physical books and 4 were audio books. And so we're going to get started this morning. Instead of having coffee, which I still will have my coffee, I'm having some tea, some cinnamon tea. So that really tastes good. And I didn't put any sweetener in it. Trying to watch my sugar intake. But let's get started with the physical books that I read this October. So two were by L.S. Stratton, Do What Godmother Says. This was about this was more of a thriller, and it was about a person that kind of manipulated people into doing what they wanted as far as the art world is concerned, and using their talents to manipulate them and do things. It says a modern day writer and Harlem Renaissance artist are connected by a painting with a deadly secret in this gripping gothic thriller. And what the artist did was embed what happened and what the secret was in the painting. It was really a good book. It was really suspenseful. I'm starting to really like Ella Stratton thriller writing. This is the second book I read by her. And then the third book, which recently came out, I think it came out in September, In Deadly Company. This was about a person who works for like this movie producer, and he was really asinine and he winds up dying, but no one knew who really killed him. And she actually worked for, eventually it came out that she worked for the person that was involved in his death for real, and not all the people that they gathered. It kind of was like a murder mystery book. Like everyone was gathered in one place, and then they were trying to suss out who actually might have wanted to kill not only just him, but his aunt, who was killed years before. So this was a really good book. L.S. Stratton is becoming an auto-buy author for me. And then the last physical book I read, well, I kind of read it in tandem. I started out with the physical book, and then I ended up with the audio book, was The Sable Cloak by Gail Melissa Grant. This was excellent. This was based in the, I want to say, the early 1900s. Or I forgot. I'm sorry, guys. But yeah, this was a great book telling about just a well-to-do family that had some struggles in life, and the sable cloak kind of represented the thought process of being wealthy and you know, being this black family and not many people wanting you to succeed. Well, white people, let's call a thing a thing. And just be able to get past that and get past the struggles that families usually have. And so, yeah, this was a really great book. I'm probably not describing it as well as I should, but it would definitely be, I would say definitely put this on your TBR to read. So those were the 3 physical books I read. I'm gonna go to my trusty paper because I have some audiobooks that I read, and I'm gonna have them on screen. So one of the first audiobooks I read was What a Match by Mimi Grace. I was continuing the series with this. It's a great book. You know, people come together for different reasons, and these books look really, really nice and swirly and nice, but they were hot and steamy. So Mimi Grace did her thing with that. Then I read Summer's Echo by Robbie Renee. This is a new one. This was so cool. This was kind of like a not a coming of age story, a little bit of coming of age story, because they knew one another back in the day, but kind of second chances. They met as teenagers. Something happened that was catastrophic for both of the families. And so they were separated, and then as adults, they were able to come back together. Actually, the main female character was going to get married, and she kind of was like the runaway bride. And because he knew her very well, he knew where her hiding space was. And so that was their journey back to being together from being young people. sometimes a lot, and I do this myself with my students. I'm like, this is puppy love, you'll get over it. But I feel like some teenagers, like when they get it right the first time, they get it right. So this is kind of what Summer Echo was about. Then I continue on with Too Much of a Good Thing by Kimberly Laura Robbie. This was a continuation of the Reverend Custis series. This was the second book in the series. This was the second book. Casting the First Stone was the first book, when we learn about the Reverend and his sneaky ways. And it really came to a head in this movie. He was gonna get divorced for a second time, and now he's going to marry the mother of his child. But the mother of his child, when she had his child, she was only 17. So I'm interested in how this series is going to continue. And then what else did we do? A Tale of Two Cities, which was a Halloween novella by Alexandria Warren. I read that book literally the day of Halloween. Did I? No, maybe the day before. And it was like it's a novella. So I read it in one sitting. I read it when I got home. And then I started it when I got home. And then I finished it before I went to bed. A Tale of Two Cities. It's about these two people who meet because of a Halloween get-together with their friends who were getting married on Halloween. So they came together. But they live in two different cities. So you have to read it to figure out if they get together and kind of go back and forth with one another. But this was a really, really, really good book. I enjoyed it immensely. And I think those are the 7 books that I read in October. October was a good month. Read 7 books. Usually I read more than that, but since school has started, I noticed that my reading has slowed down a little bit because I have to actually work, so I can't read as much as I want to. What I'm noticing that I'm doing, though, is that I am doing a lot more audiobooks. Those who have been here for a while know that I do an audiobook and a physical book during the week. But now my physical books is turning into audiobooks because I just be in a car back and forth in between my 9 to 5 and my 5 to 9. So I'm not physically reading as much anymore, but I love my audiobook situationship, and I'm going to move forward with that. Yeah, and so I'm looking forward to what November is going to be and my reads. I'm starting to read my Christmas holiday books now. I'm actually reading The Gingerbread Bakery. That's where I'm at right now, by Laurie Gilmore. This is the continuation of the Harbor series, Dream Harbor series. And so there's one more coming out in the springtime. So I'm going to finish up with this. But yeah, it's been an interesting month reading. I love all the reads that I've done. And so, yeah, we're going to get back to it and figure out what November is going to be like, what it's going to look like in its totality. Because even though I say I'm going to read all these holiday books, I am a mood reader, so we'll figure out what that's going to look like by the end of the month. If you made it this far, do all of the things, like, comment, subscribe, but also drop in the comment box what book are you reading? What books did you read in October? Have you read any of these books before? Are they new? Will you add them to your TBR? Do all the things. Let me know what's going on with your reading journey, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.